My name is Saleemul Huq. I'm the director of the International Center for Climate Change and Development, and in the Conference of Parties, I'm an advisor to the Least Developed Countries group, who are 49 of the poorest countries in the world, also some of the most vulnerable. They negotiate as a bloc here, and I advise them.
So how are you enjoying the COP so far here in Paris?
So far, it's very nice. We had the high-level section yesterday with all the leaders come and give very good, inspiring speeches. They have to translate that into the negotiations, which doesn't always happen.
So for developing countries then, what are the key issues here at COP regarding climate change adaptation in particular?
Well, I work with the vulnerable developing countries. They're a subset of developing countries. And for the vulnerable countries, the biggest issue is the long-term goal. And we are arguing for the long-term goal to be changed from the current 2 degrees to 1.5 degrees, because 2 degrees is no longer safe for everybody. And if we want to protect all the people on planet Earth, then we need a goal of 1.5 degrees. Even though it may be very difficult to achieve, it is the right goal to have.
So one of the key issues also you're working on is loss and damage. Now could you just explain very quickly what you mean by loss and damage, and why is it such an important issue for vulnerable developing countries?
So one of the characteristics of the climate change problem and the UNFCCC process over the last 25 years is that the problem has morphed over time. It's not the same problem we started with. The first problem we started with was emissions of greenhouse gases, and the solution was simple: reduce them. We failed to do that. So we have a second generation problem, which is inevitable impacts of climate change, and the way to deal with them is no longer mitigation, but adaptation. These two have been well established, but we failed to do that as well. And so we now have a third generation problem because we failed to mitigate and we failed to adapt, which is inevitable and unavoidable loss and damage. The difference between the two being loss is something that is irrecoverable. Human beings who die cannot be brought back no matter how much money you give their families. The people don't come back, species don't come back, ecosystems don't come back. Once they're lost, they're gone. Island nations go underwater, they're gone, they're not going to come back. Damage, on the other hand, can be repaired. Damaged roads, damaged embankments can be repaired. So losses are irrecoverable losses, damages are damage that can be recovered.
We hear also a lot about the issue of migration for least developed countries. Speak a little bit about the sort of what the talks are ongoing about that.
So one of the issues within the loss and damage arena is the issue of displacement and migration. And I'll qualify those two words by saying that displacement, referring to forced displacement due to climatic impacts, is something we want to avoid. But if we fail to avoid it, it's going to be of huge proportions, tens of millions of people, certainly orders of magnitude more than we are seeing today. On the other hand, migration, if handled properly and planned properly, can actually be a solution. So there are tens of millions of people living in very low-lying atoll areas and some dryland areas who, over the course of the next 2 decades, will no longer be able to live there. We need to plan how we're going to help them, and particularly their children, move and take their parents with them in a planned manner so that it's a solution to a problem, not a problem itself.
Finally, are you hopeful that progress can be made here in Paris over the next couple of weeks?
I'm very hopeful. I think the speeches yesterday set us up for very well. We got some good, inspiring speeches from our leaders. That needs to be translated into the negotiations. We have 12 days left to do that, and I'm very hopeful we will.
Saleem, thank you very much.